Crown Produce secures produce locally and from around the world for Canadian retailers. Crown Produce is also proud to secure sponsorship of university football on Shaw. Crown Produce, supporting Canadian retailers and Canadian amateur football.
Hey, and welcome to another edition of Touchdown BC. I'm Andrew Watt, and of course I'm joined each and every week by the lovely and talented Ryan Sullivan. Ryan, we're starting with BC high school football. Playoffs are underway, quarterfinals, and we're going to go to your hometown to kick things off.
What a beautiful start to the show, and a mighty, mighty beautiful town. It is North Vancouver. Correction, the district of North Vancouver. There's a difference. Now, most of Handsworth's games would be played at their school. However, they have a nasty, gross, dug-up dirt field. So we'd have to go to fake grass, and this would take us to Windsor Secondary. The grass may be fake, but the rain was very, very real. It was coming down in buckets in North Vancouver. Check that, the district of North Vancouver. Mike Lemoyne and the Handsworth Royals against Hunter Struthers and the WJ Mowat Hawks. First big play of the game is a handoff to who else? Malik Iron. Some say this kid could be the second coming of Corey Philpott, while others say he could be the second coming of Corey Philpott. It's a huge touchdown to start the day for the Hawks. But as we've seen all season, Mowat is not just a one-man show. Slater McRae takes this one. He finds a hole. He is history. He takes this one all the way back as well. WJ Mowat looking to seal this one early on. Next cue, more irons. Probably one of the nicest runs you're going to see all year. It showcases a little speed, a little finesse, and a little power. All that's missing is some crunchy peanut butter, and you've got yourself a nice smoothie. They'd go into the half leading 36 bagel. During the halftime festivities, the rain would pick up. We'd have an unofficial BC high school record of 12 new umbrellas popping up in the second half. Speaking of popping up, off the very first play of the third cue, Hunter Struthers pops this one up for Jake Verlott. Touchdown Hawks. They're picking up right where they left off. Handsworth grabs a horseshoe though. Struthers can't handle the snap, and it's recovered by the blue and yellow, so Mike Lemoyne finds Dylan Wyell, and he goes into the air conditioner for 6 points. Mowat says no to the extra though, and it stays a 43-6 ball game. Next possession, Struthers keeps, and he finds 10 on the ground. He then looks, he finds Verlott again for another first down. It's then Jacob Dodd's turn, and he rumbles it up to the 2-yard line. Dodd's called on again to punch it in. Look at this, another touchdown for WJ Mowat. The visitors getting the job done. All right, let's get a little closer look now at the chill factor. Jesse Shaman really wishing he wore sleeves for this one. Meanwhile, the Mowat bench huddling in a pack for warmth. It looks like the old robots in the Crate and iRobot, you know, the NS5s. That was filmed in Vancouver, I'll have you know. Handsworth, they want more. Lemoyne finds Wyell again for a pickup of 19. The drive would be capped off by a pass and grab with, who else? Dylan Wyell, he's back. Handsworth going for 2, and Lemoyne puts it on the board. A nice run to the outside. Lemoyne then finds Starnes over the top for another major. Far too little, far too late though. WJ Mowat walks into North Van, and they walk out of the district with a 50-22 win.
Let's head out to McLeod Stadium in Langley. Tweedsmuir and VC going toe-to-toe, and it was the Jamel Lyles show in full force. Here he finds a hole and takes the rock 42 yards all the way to the house. Panthers strike first. It's 7-0 for the homeboys. Jordy Belfiore would lead his Irish back upfield though. He connects here with Brody Colvin, who then finds Clyde Kassip for another first. Kassip would then cap off the drive. The Irish were hungry in enemy territory on this night. Connor McKay, not to be outdone, rolls out to the sideline, finds nothing but field, so he tucks and rolls back to his left. McKay turns this nothing into a 16-yard pickup and a Panther first down inside the red zone. McKay calls his own number again on the keeper. He even drops a slick spin move. Check it out. Panthers knocking, and it's who else? Jamel Lyles leaps his way into the end zone. Panthers regain the lead. Belfiore marches the boys back up the field though and finds Manveer Koon for the major. VC knots it back up. Irish get the ball back and Belfiore goes back to work. This time he finds Matt Lag. First down Irish. The drive is capped off by Robbie Welch just rocking it up the gut. Touchdown VC in the purple and gold. We're doing South Vancouver some proud. They would go for two though and Belfiore's pass falls incomplete. That would cause a bit of a momentum shift. Lyles here shakes a few tackles to the outside for a nice chunk of change. Off the Wildcat, Lyles again looks for a lane, finds one, and goes for a solid jaunt up the gut and to the outside. He dived, but be short of the cone. The Panthers would cap off the drive with yet another major. So Panthers go up 5 in the final minute. So with one last chance, what could the Irish do? Belfiore sets back and is dropped by Ben and Glabson. One last chance for BC now. And the pass is picked. Brandon Woods ends the game with the thievery. 34-29, your final for Lord Tweedsmuir. All right, here's the rest of the story from around AAA. Here's your upcoming AAA matchups for this weekend. Now let's take a look at your AA scoreboard. And here's a look at your AA playoff matchups.
'Twas a lovely day in Duncan, BC for this one. Cowichan Bulldogs, Victoria Spartans, a little quarterfinal midget Vancouver Mainland Football League action for ya. That was a mouthful. First cue, Cowichan finds the gaps early. Dracious Price with the carry for the first down. The drive is then capped off by Liam Palku Johnston. The fullback puts his boys up, and they don't really look back from there. The team, nor the Bulldog looking back at all. Is that a Hoya? Anybody? No? All right. On the double reverse, the Bulldogs strike again. K. Malchior takes the rock all the way home. Cowichan showing the hometown fans they want that semifinal berth. Spartans punter having to work overtime to pull this one down. A very high snap, and then he lifts one high and away. Malchior waits patiently under it, and then he says, "See ya later." He finds a hole and sews the seam very nicely. He takes this one all the way back. Bulldogs turning the volume up to 11 on the Spartans, and they weren't done there. Spartan slinger Brett Johnson then finds trouble and decides to look for a miracle. No dice. It's right into the hands of Cole Aquam. He takes it back 23 yards, and the Bulldogs then decide to turn that into another sweet opportunity. The option pass out to Dracious Price. Cowichan takes the easy win by a score of 36 blank. All right, now here's a look at the rest of your VMFL playoff scoreboard. And finally, here's a look at your VMFL playoff matchups.
Now, sort of like my co-host Ryan Sullivan's love life, the SFU Clan season has been sad and depressing. Let's face it. They are, however, playing one more game on the mountain. They're playing against the top team in the GNAC in Azusa Pacific. Could they right the ship? Nah, the season's a write-off. Get to the highlights.
Azusa Pacific, as mentioned, has the GNAC locked up. They're in first at 8-2, clinched the top seed. First quarter, and Cougars QB Desmond Stewart drops back and is picked by Mitchell Barnett. Just like that, Ryan Stanford checks in and finds Lamar Durant over the middle for a decent little game. Chris Tolbert would cap off the drive for the Clan. He pounds it in from 3 out. SFU strikes first. Azusa comes storming back though. Terrell Watson takes the handoff here and goes all the way around. The SFU secondary touchdown for the Cougars. Stanford then off play action looks and finds Bobby Poshpashil over the middle. First down SFU, and they're rolling. It's then Stanford faking the handoff to Tolbert and rolling to his right. That's a major. Put it on the board. SFU back out in front. Stewart for Azusa tries to look over the middle for Kevin Schick, and the ref calls PI right there. So that brings the ball to the 2-yard line where Ronnie Douglas hits the left side hole. Touchdown for the GNAC champs. Stewart then decides to ride the momentum wave and hits Ed Dillahunt for the touchdown. Cougars go out in front, and in typical Cougar fashion, they don't look back. Durant would get SFU back on the board with this 12-yard transaction with Stanford. It wouldn't be enough, though, as Stewart goes way deep to Dillahunt again. He goes 82 yards down the North Vancouver side of the field. Just a bit of a first down. A hush then falls over Burnaby Mountain as Terrell Watson scampers this one to the right. SFU loses their regular season finale, 28-19. Chris Tolbert ran the ball well for the Clan, tallying up 155 yards and a major on the ground, while Terrell Watson was the man for Azusa Pack, going for 128 yards on 22 carries, picking up 2 TDs along the way. And here is your one final look at your 2013 GNAC standings. SFU finishing second last with a disappointing 3-7 record. Following the Clan's loss on Saturday, SFU Athletics announced that they have terminated the contract of head coach Dave Johnson. In 7 years at the helm of the Clan, Johnson posted a 18-46 record, including going 6-17 in 3 seasons in the CIS and 12-29 in 4 seasons in the NC2A. No word yet on who will be his replacement.
All right, buddy, I admit it. I'm digging you pretty hard in this week's episode. Sorry about the love life comment, although we all know it's non-existent to begin with anyway, so.
How do you know this?
I know these things. I've been to North Van. I've, done the rounds.
We wouldn't accept you over in North Van.
What are you trying to say except me?
You should see my resume as of late with this haircut.
What is...
This is the Jim Mullen as of 25 years ago.
Oh, we all know Jim Mullen never had hair. He was born bald.
Yeah. That's...
It's true.
You caught me in my own lie. I got nothing.
He's coming up next, though. Sean Olen, UBC Thunderbirds head coach, and Jim Mullen, the bald guy.
Whether it's your first home, a refinance, or an investment property, Kia Grant & Associates can find a mortgage solution for you. In association with Verico Paragon, the work she does for you is free. Find her on Facebook at Kia Grant Mortgages. Crown Produce secures produce locally and from around the world for Canadian retailers. Crown Produce is also proud to secure sponsorship of university football on Shaw. Crown Produce, supporting Canadian retailers and Canadian amateur football. And welcome back to Touchdown BC. We're now joined by UBC head coach Sean Olen. Sean, nice to have you in the studio. Nice to not do a Skype interview for a change and have a real person here.
It's great to be
on
here.
the desk. Let's first of all start with the bowl games last week, because when you take a look at the Western versus Calgary game, I think you guys in the snow were much more prepared to take on the Calgary Dinos than the Western Mustangs were. What's your read on that game?
I think the situation for Western was, people kept talking about the weather. I didn't understand that. London, Ontario gets very cold as well. So I think it's about a mindset. And I think for us, when we were going into that game, our motto all year had been all weather. We were actually excited that it was going to be snowing. We were trying to focus that week on creating turnovers. We thought that was going to be the difference in the game. And Calgary had been a team that we had felt we had a good matchup against since week one. And so we saw it as an opportunity, and we knew that we could stand toe-to-toe with them. And going into that game, we really thought we had them. And I think Western maybe, being the number 1 ranked team in the country, sometimes that you start reading your own press clippings a little bit, and that might have been the case. And the one thing I will say about the University of Calgary this year is that they do seem to have a very close-knit team and a good team bond and some good chemistry, and that quite often will make up a talent deficit. Let's put it that way.
Were you surprised that Will Finch said after the game that, yeah, we took the Calgary Dinos lightly? To be able to admit to something like that when you're the leader of the team is more than a little surprising from where I stand. What about you from your perspective as a coach?
I didn't hear that, but that is a little bit surprising. I mean, you're in a national semifinal and you're going against the number 3 ranked team in the country, and I think sometimes from conference to conference there is a little bit of uncertainty, but usually that uncertainty I think would breed a healthy amount of of respect, right? Again, you're one game away from a Vanier Cup, a national championship. Those things are very, very difficult to come by. So regardless of whether you were playing, a Pee-wee team, I think you should go in with the appropriate amount of caution and anxiety and excitement, and it's always settled on the field anyway. So it doesn't really matter what people think of each other. It matters what you do on game day.
Does this make a statement about strength of conferences, or is this really just a one-off in your mind?
I think. I don't know. I think every year people try to make that argument. I would say that Canada West is a very, very strong conference, and year in and year out, we have a legitimate chance to win a national championship, whoever comes out of the Hardy Cup. I think that's the same, though, in the Quebec and also in the Ontario Conference. So I don't know if it's a statement because of that game. I just think that Western, played badly, and Calgary was a team that was very motivated and ready to go on that day.
You watched the UTEC Bowl. What were your impressions of that? I mean, everybody knew Laval was an overwhelming favorite, but Mount A did some things on offense. They moved the ball effectively at times. They got themselves out of bad field position at times. What was your impression of that game?
I think the one thing you could see right off the bat between those two teams was basically there was a size difference. And I think eventually over the course of 4 quarters, size, power, strength, speed, all that kind of stuff wins out. I think Mount Allison was full credit for the effort, and they battled, and they obviously are a good team with a lot of character and a lot of good players on it, but I think they were just a little bit overmatched. And as the game went on, I think it began to show itself, especially in the run game. I think there was probably another, by halftime, there was 4 or 5 runs, I thought, that were called back and ended up being in touchdowns. There's probably another 200 yards in rushing that they had taken off the board. So, but it was, they showed well for a small school and a school that had seen some tough times over the last decade.
Calgary versus Laval in the Vanier Cup. How do you handicap this one? I mean, obviously you have to give a couple of points to Laval just because there are going to be 8,000 people in standing room at this game, let alone in the stands. That's got to be a huge plus for them, but Calgary almost seems like a team of destiny this year.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. The home field advantage plays a unique part in the whole equation. I think it's really tough to handicap. I think that Calgary's going to stand toe-to-toe with them. I don't think that Laval is the same big dog in Canada that they have been maybe in past years. And I think it's going to be a very good football game. And I think inclement weather or a little snow or wind isn't going to affect either team. And I think we're in for a pretty good Vanier Cup.
Now, your team, I think it's safe to say, could have been 6-2 this year if it was for a few twists and turns along the way. Did the performance of your team surprise you through the course of the season, considering where you started way back in spring camp?
You know what? Not really. I knew we were going to have a good team, and we had some challenges, obviously, coming from last year and moving into this year, and replacing a Heck Crichton Award winner and one of the best players in the country is always difficult. But I knew we had a really good group, and we spent a lot of time talking to them about leadership, talking to them about things that are not athletic or on-field football stuff. And I'm a strong believer in those things being the difference once you get on game day. We're really young, and I think this year we were a young team learning how to win, but we're very eager to compete. And I was really proud of them. A good group of kids, and a motivated group of kids, and a bunch of kids that really sort of were willing to buy into doing things the right way and doing things for each other, and not adverse to hard work, and I think it paid off for us. And I think we're set up for a pretty good next few years.
You mentioned a young team. What do you lose going into next year in terms of potential guys going to the CFL, and what do you lose in terms of graduates?
Well, as far as guys going to the CFL, we literally, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 guys that are eligible. So again, very young. We'll lose 5 or 6 guys that I would say are key contributors. I don't deal too much in starters, backups, but guys that really had a significant impact for our program on the field. Those guys are always tough to replace, and the thing that you can never see, it's the elephant in the room when a fifth-year guy leaves, is his leadership value. But I think we have some guys behind him that are ready to step forward. Like some of the best players that you'll talk about next year are guys like Alex Morrison, a guy that was a redshirt for us last year. We knew he was an outstanding prospect and had a huge ceiling. and he just needed an opportunity. And we have probably 10 or 15 guys on our roster that I feel really good about, and I'm excited to see what they do with another off season and with an opportunity that maybe didn't present itself this year.
And thanks to the media all-star team, Alex Morrison made it to an all-star team. So how about that? Now we go to the other elephant in the room right now, which is the sports targeting initiative at UBC. And obviously that has leaked out through various news outlets and media outlets that both hockey and football are potentially on the chopping block. First of all, what is the feeling around the football team concerning this?
Well, you know, one of our focus has always been to control the things that we can control. So we don't talk a lot about it as a team. We're into our off-season strength and conditioning, and we're getting ready, and we're very motivated because we feel like we are going to have an outstanding team next year. Behind the scenes, with alumni, with coaches, with all the people that are administrating and sort of planning the program for the next few years, it's obviously a point of conversation. This is something that I think I always point out to people who ask, that it's something that a lot of universities go through in some form or another, the review process. And I'm very confident through conversations with the administration, through conversations with influential alumni, that we're going to come out of this stronger, more well-funded, and better moving forward than we were going into the process. I would prefer if the process was done slightly differently, and if there was a few things that we could have avoided. But you know, at the end of the day, we all have bosses, and things are done, and we're just left to deal with the things that we can control, and that's what we're focused on.
Is there a chance that we could see a different model operating UBC football out of this? Obviously, we take a look across the country right now and take a look at the teams that are in Quebec working off of a private nonprofit model. What they're doing in Carleton right now is a great foundation for the future there. The Regina Rams kind of work on that model too. They're very dependent on the 50-50 at Rider games. Is there a model that works for you on a private level?
I think that is something that we will be a part of moving forward. I think it's something that if you look at the top 8 to 10 programs in the country, year in and year out, 90% of those are on some kind of hybrid model, or some kind of model where it's university funding but also outside sources. And I think that's probably going to be our path as well. And I think that will create a lot of different opportunities for us as a football program, allow us to have a little bit more control over things that we think are important, while still sort of carrying on the very illustrious tradition of UBC football. And I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of work behind the scenes that are happening, and it's definitely a challenge, and it's definitely something that is taking a lot of people's resources. But I think when everything's said and done, and I would hope that there's going to be an announcement, in that first wave of announcements, that we're going to be better for it when everything's said and done.
How key is it for you to get an announcement out, to get something concrete out into the public eye as you go into this recruiting season? What are you telling potential recruits right now to tell them that UBC is their best pick?
Well, I think obviously an announcement would be great, but there's a process in place, and I don't think the university is going to veer from process. What we've been telling them is that basically the truth, that we're going through this review process. It's something that businesses do very regularly. The government does it, universities do it, and there have already been multiple alumni and groups organizing, mobilizing behind the scenes, and endowments are being created. It's going to be a very, very strong UBC football program for the next 100 years. And coming up here, I think we're celebrating our 90th anniversary, and I tell them that, hey, we're not going anywhere. In fact, that we're on a path that's going to intersect with the Vanier Cup in sometime in the near future, and I think the people that are now being involved behind the scenes and engaged, it's going to get us there faster than if the status quo was left the way it was.
It helps to have committed guys like Doug Mitchell and Dave Sadu, amongst others, involved in the process, doesn't it?
It definitely does. And I mean, in the past, UBC's had committed guys financially, but now some of those people that have backed the program financially are becoming more active. And that was probably the missing link, is to have those people be engaged actively on a day-by-day basis on building something. And it's one of those things where you have a chance not only to be a part of it, but also to engage your alumni once they leave the program into being a part of it just as importantly, but in a different aspect. And this time it's, as donors, as being part of the game day operations and taking a sense of pride in what we're doing. And this year was a nice return to having a successful season on the field and an entertaining product. And I think over the next 2 or 3 years, I think there's going to be a lot more news coming from UBC on the football field.
Now, let's touch on recruiting while I still have you here. Yep. Take a look at BC high school football and community football. What are the strongest positions coming out of the grade 12 year this year that you can dip into recruiting? And what are your options right now with junior football? Because you did an outstanding job on defense, getting Yanni Kabelis and Donovan Dale, who was the all-star, the most outstanding defensive lineman in Canada West this year. What are your options out there right now?
Well, we're always looking in all sort of areas to improve our team, whether it be junior colleges, players that might have fallen off the radar that we had tracked, Div 1 drop downs, a bunch of different things, right? And the BC high school ranks are a huge part of our foundation building. And I've said since day one that we're a BC team and we're built on BC talent, and we always try to engage those players first and foremost. There's an outstanding crop of talent here in the province of BC, whether it be junior or whether it be at the high school ranks. And we want to get the best of them and have them play for their home university up at UBC. And so we're definitely engaged there. This year is a very, very good year in the high school ranks as far as skill positions. There's some really talented running backs and real talented sort of receivers. There always seems to be 2 or 3 really good quarterbacks. And, there's a lot of sort of under the radar or maybe underappreciated big men that we've got our eyes on and think that we have a good chance at securing. And we believe that's where you win or lose, is on the offensive and defensive line. So we're looking to add a few of those. And with the junior ranks, for us, it's always a little bit of a challenge because of our academic standards. And typically speaking, sometimes those junior guys are maybe more trades oriented or maybe don't have the same academic background. But we're always trying to mine the ones that do and the ones that are looking to go on and be successful both academically and athletically. And I think that's kind of that's what we offer to kids, is an outstanding environment in all aspects of their university experience.
Sean, it sounds like you've got things on the right track with UBC football and behind the scenes right now with UBC football, considering what's going on right now, either in the media or behind the scenes. Thanks for coming down and doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem, Jim. I appreciate it.